Okay, Dobry Dean. Hello, everybody. So thank you for joining us or being with us for the day so far. So now I'd just like to focus on our British programs and our art and design programs at BHSAD. So my name is Tim Simmons. I'm the head of the British programs. And first of all, I'd like to actually talk about or try to understand what actually is British art and design. So I want to start with this quote, quite a nice quote here, from Nicola Mendelsohn, who is the British Advertising Executive and Facebook Vice President for Europe, the Middle East and Africa. And what she said here is, we have a rich heritage, but we like to subvert it. British design is all about not respecting authority. And that's why we often come up with unusual ideas. Paul Smith is quintessentially British. Likewise, Mulberry and Jamie Oliver, they are classic, but with a twist. That's what makes something British. We don't take ourselves too seriously. And I think that's a really good quote. So if we look at the keywords there, so to subvert, to not respect authority, to come up with unusual ideas, classic but with a twist, don't take ourselves too seriously. Here's another quote from Sebastian Conran, who's a British product designer. I'll read it out. It's long, but I think it's quite useful. So national characteristics are prevalent in design. It's a stereotype that the Germans are dull and efficient, and Scandinavian design is spare and clean, but that really does come through in their products. Take the iPad, designed by a Briton in California, but the styling is very modest and British. You wouldn't get the French or Italians designing anything as sparse and simple as this. The Italians use a lot of colour and have a visual flair to their products, and the French are obsessed with making things novel and different. In Britain, it's incredibly multicultural, and that comes through in our products. They employ lateral thinking. They're often multitasking and ingenious. They have a sense of humour. The only thing the British aren't good at is designing things beautifully. The French and Scandinavians are far better. Now, again, it'd be that's open for debates, but I think the keywords there are quite useful to refer to. So multicultural, lateral thinking, multitasking, ingenious, sense of humour. So if we actually look at some examples of quite prominent global British designers and artists, so from fashion design, Alexander McQueen graduated from Central St Martin's in London in 1992. Damien Hirst graduated from Goldsmiths University, Fine Arts, 1989. Photography, Nick Knight graduated from the Arts University in Bournemouth in 1982. Architecture, Zaha Hadid graduated from the Architectural Association in London in 1977. And product design, Joni Ive graduated from Northumbria University in Newcastle in 1989. So I think those are some really good kind of examples of all of those keywords that I just kind of brought to your attention there previously. So that's kind of what, that's what we're talking about in terms of British design. Let's talk about our school. So 17 years of working with the University of Hertfordshire. We've got a very close working relationship with the University of Hertfordshire. The university itself was founded in '52 as Hatfield Technical College, and it changed university quite recently in the last 20 years. And it's now one of the top 100 universities in the world under 50 years old, according to the Times Higher Education ranking 2015. So back in 2003, BHSAD started our collaboration with the School of Creative Arts at the University of Hertfordshire. Then in 2018, we also extended our partnership to collaborate with the Hertfordshire Business School. And now, right now, Moscow Music School is working with the School of Creative Arts for the music provision. A quick slide here to add a little bit of context to BHSAD. So for the 2019-20 academic year, you can see an overview of how many programs we had for our Russian CPD programs and our British programs. See how many students were on those programs. how many tutors were teaching on those programs. So, for example, we had 354 undergraduate art and design and marketing students this academic year, and over 671 pre-degree students. There are over 100 tutors teaching across those programs with us, range from international to national practitioners, academics, and industry professionals. In terms of alumni, over 3,800 total alumni from Russian CPD programs, and over 660 from our BA programs. And we have very good employment statistics as well. So our graduates get jobs. I'll talk more about that in a minute. So unfortunately, we're under, well, we're not really locked down, but you can't visit us today. So for anyone that's not visited us, just to give you a little bit of context about our facilities and location. So we're based central Moscow in Kurskaya in Art Play. And we've actually got over 11,000 square meters of space for the school, for the schools collectively, sorry. All buildings have got high-speed Wi-Fi, hi-fi and Wi-Fi. And most of the core resources for BHSD in the main two buildings. We've also got film pavilion in Baumanskaya as well, which can be used by our students. That's one of our reception areas. It gives you a kind of understanding about the sort of atmosphere in the space. Our resources are really important. They're a kind of key part to our art and design programs. It's really important that we've got industry standard equipment and workshops to allow our students to produce work to a professional standard. So we've got fashion workshops, VR lab, jewellery workshops, large format printing and cutting facilities, screen printing, lino printing, ceramics workshop, photo studios, video studios, dark rooms. Obviously, we've got our learning resource centre, which is underpins our knowledge base. We have a cinema hall, so we've got our own cinema. Film studio, and we've got fully equipped 3D model making workshop with laser cutting, CNC. So basically, allows our students to make and fabricate their innovative ideas. So our key values. So essentially, the cornerstones of the British education programs in university, there are kind of four of them. So firstly, academic rigor. Now, some of you may have seen my morning presentation, but coming back to an international perspective, so we're the only school in Russia offering international European credit transfer system credit-based art and design undergraduate degrees. We have extremely close connections to the University of Hertfordshire. We're accountable to the Quality Assurance Agency in the UK. So we're regulated by UK government regulations as well as Russian Ministry of Education regulations. And we have an international teaching staff and educational programs. So secondly, global perspectives. So there's the opportunity to work or study anywhere in the world that we offer. Skills and understanding that work effectively across cultural boundaries. And a chance to participate in international industry projects and competitions. Thirdly, just highlighted our resources and facilities. So we have spacious studios, so actually feel like proper design studios. And we've got our art design workshops that all of our students can use. They're open, they're accessible. We encourage our students to be in there and use them. And we have state-of-the-art equipment. It's important to have that. Need to keep up to date and actually ahead of the game. And fourth aspect are careers and industry. So we have extremely close connection with industry. There's an integration between theory and practice. So it's all very well just learning a subject, but you have to be able to apply that in reality. Live projects, everyone wants to work with us. It's brilliant. We have some amazing connections and collaborations with industry that allow our students to work on actual projects, live projects set by industry. And then of course, our alumni club. So after our students graduate, you know, we're there for them and supporting them with our alumni club. So learning and teaching. All our British programs develop a student's knowledge and understanding, their conceptual skills, their practical skills, and their transferable skills. That's important to understand throughout all of the levels of education on the British programs. Those 4 aspects of a student's competency are developed. So the student's knowledge and understanding, the student's conceptual skills, the student's practical skills, and the student's transferable skills or soft skills. All of our programs contain those learning experiences. So if we're looking at learning and teaching specifically in art and design, at BHSD, we believe in our approach. Our approach is open-minded, lateral thinking, problem solving, interrogate the brief, taking risks, collaborate, going beyond borders, multicultural. We're humble, serious play. We embrace mistakes, intelligent work, depth and rigor. And that approach feeds into the process. So the design process and the art process, the creative process, is research underpins ideas, critical engagement and reflection, and conceptual development and prototyping. And that results in innovation, purposeful solutions, and visually and conceptually exciting, intelligent work. So it's quite helpful to actually see what we don't believe in. So at BHSD, we do not believe in following trends, because innovation means that you set trends. We don't believe in copying others. Again, there's why copy someone else when, you know, innovation isn't about copying others. We don't believe in being creative for the sake of it. You know, that's pointless. And we don't believe in decoration. So if we want to look at now, let's talk about our programs. And fundamentally, our programs support employability. That's really important. So we strive to prepare our graduates for global employability. Of course, within that, we prepare our students for employability within Moscow or within Russia nationally. But effectively, we're transcending borders. We're looking at preparing our graduates for employability anywhere in the world through the skills and attributes that they develop through their education. It's important to understand that our programs are industry focused. Our programs are current, they're relevant, they're up to date, they're contemporary. And as I mentioned, our programs prepare graduates for international and local employment. So our industry relations, here's an overview here of some of the partners and companies, organisations we've worked with over the years. So we have, as I mentioned before, we've got a rich history of working and collaborating with leading national and international brands, companies, organisations. Some brilliant collaborations over the years. And now, so we have an industry relations department that supports all aspects of engagement with industry, that looks after our sponsorships and partnerships, support project-based collaborations, support our live briefs and competitions, supporting our graduates with specific projects and industry visits to studios and organisations, for example. Our industry relations manages events. So we have events like careers days, student exhibitions, degree show. We have guest lecture series. We have international speakers from all over the world participating and you know, benefiting our students. Some of those are open to the public. A lot of those aren't. You know, manage external events, alumni reunions, graduation ceremony. Our careers centre supports our students with advice and guidance, workshops, portfolio support, organises internships with companies, organisations, supports with direct recruitment. We have our own website as well, which supports our graduates finding jobs. And then we've got our Alumni Association, supports our graduates' careers. Again, live briefs for alumni. We have a loyalty programme for alumni, and our alumni have social media access, and we collaborate through surveys to ensure we keep up to date with them. So here's an overview of some of the industry collaborations and live projects that our programs have had over the years. So for example, BA Honours Fashion working with Adidas Originals. So Adidas Originals representatives came into the studios and briefed our fashion students, set them a project, and worked with them throughout the project with our tutors and the students collectively. And actually, the results of that project were one of our students actually went and worked at Adidas Originals HQ in Germany for a year between her second year and third year of study. So yeah, brilliant opportunities presented to our students there. And again, the same kind of story applies to our other programs as well. I won't read them out, but you can see, some of the names that we've worked with, like so local and international, like Pushkin, Museum of Fine Arts, Nike, Philips, Yandex, etc. Likewise, just to look at where some of our graduates end up going to work. Good examples there of, these are sort of desirable places to go and work for or work with. So in terms of our portfolio programs, we have a range of British programs in the British High School of Art and Design. So we've got our BA programs in fashion, fine art, graphic design, illustration, interior architecture and design, product and industrial design, design crafts, textiles and photography. And then we have our pre-degree programs. We have foundation art design, pre-foundation art design, introduction to art design, and then some other courses as well to support students with portfolio building courses and English language courses. So I presented earlier about credit level and credit value and how that fits into the European qualifications framework and the UK qualifications framework. But this slide here just kind of gives an example, an overview of what level our programs are operating at. So you can see our introduction to art design is at level 2, and that's essentially school level. Doesn't mean you have to be school age. We have students that are in their 40s and 50s on introduction to art design, but the level of ability is at a basic level. That's why it's level 2. Pre-foundation is at level 3, which is the equivalent of UK A levels. Foundation art and design, 2/3 of the program are at level 3, and the last part, the last 40 credits are at level 4. And then our bachelor's programs are level 4, 5, and 6. As you can see from the diagram at the bottom, level 7 is master's degree and level 8 is doctorate degree. So for example, at March, we have master's programs operating at level 7 in architecture. So I'd like to just hand you over now to one of my colleagues and my program leader for Introduction to Art and Design, who's just going to talk you through the program.
Hello, it's nice to see you. Tim already mentioned the levels of British higher education, and this course is at level 2. It is the starting point in the British High School of Art and Design. And it is designed for those who are still in school in the 9th, 10th, or 11th grade, and or for those who want to change their career path and want to do something in art and design and want to try if they can dedicate all their life to art and design profession. And we have really good students every year because we're trying to teach them to explain how good to be an artist or designer, and they're and despite the fact they just from school, they came to us from Russian school, they don't have any experience, or they have limited experience in art and design. It is different. They can graduate from art school, Russian art schools. It's different level of education, different approach. And we're trying to show them how British education, how it is different from Russian one. And Yes, it is started in October. I can show you next slide about the how it started, how we teach it. Once week, it's a really convenient timetable because students can be at school or work, and once a week come to Britannica and get all the workshops, all the tools we have in Britannica, and my colleagues, all of them are internationally educated tutors. They have different specialty, they have different experience, and all of them are professionals. They have work in art and design. So you see, for example, Natalie, she's a fine artist. She's working as a performance artist, installation artist, and then Nina, she's a fashion designer. She has her own projects connected with fashion. And Alina is graphic designer. Alice has her own studio. She's producing furniture, very successful brand. And Lina Buxdorf, she's also fashion. So we have really good team of tutors. We're all friends, and we are trying to do our best to create this course as good as students deserve. So it is taught once a week from 10:30 to 6 o'clock, and it's really saturated. It's when students finish this day, they're really tired, as well as we, the team of tutors, because we're trying to put everything in one day, because it's only 1 day a week. And they also have some homework. They have to finish their projects during the week, and they enjoy it, and that's why they put all their passion, all their desire to create their projects, and it's they like it, and then they get feedback from us once a week. We see how engaged they're with the projects, with the work. And this is a process, how it looks. We work with a sketchbook. We start to teach them how to work in sketchbooks, how to generate idea, how to make, how to research, make primary and secondary research, how to follow this design process, and how to experiment, lots of experiments. And we're trying to show them that the process is the most important part in art and design, the most important, more important than the outcome. Because they always want to get a beautiful picture, beautiful image, and to show, to realize how good are they. But it's not about this, it's about deepness, it's about the idea, it's about the development of the project. So we're trying to teach them from the first day of their study at the course. And this is how the presentation of their projects can be held in our beautiful cinema hall. We are trying to use all the workshops. As Tim mentioned, it is accessible for all the students, for all levels of students. And this, for example, we use for presentation to show them how professionally made presentation can be in this cinema hall. It's stressful a bit, but at the end of the course, they have 4 presentations during the year, and they can choose if they present it in Russian or English. I did mention that the course is taught in both languages, so we have all the briefs, all emails we send them, all we work in sketchbook in English, and they can choose what language they use in our communication. Because some students, they feel difficult, themselves not confident in English, and so we help them to develop this art and design vocabulary, starting from writing materials. And this is project briefing. We teach, this is in MAC class. The school has beautiful classes, PC and Macs. We use all professional applications for the students. So this is how the project starts, how we start our day usually. And this is also the presentation of works. It is the very first workshop at the course, and we are building sculptures from their clothing. So students bring some clothing that connected with them, and we are trying to bond them, to connect them as a group, because it's really important part of this course to build the team, to be really professionally built, professionally in their work, because it is about teamwork. And the most of the projects, not the most, half of the projects are made in teams, group projects. So they have to communicate, they have to argue, they have to explain their ideas, to convince each other, and to have some role in their projects to create a good result, to get a good result. And some workshops. So the course is built. It is a mixture of workshops plus projects, individual projects. So we show some skills, we show some tools, and use our британского workshops, and then students use these skills to create their own work. And this is ceramics workshops, and they work with clay and glaze. And this is project 3D crafts is the first part of the course. And this is a project they choose their own idea, and they do that for 5 weeks, and they create their own musical instrument. So we are trying to show them all the processes and to show all the tools that are available, but limit them in materials. So they could only use wood and threads, as I remember. And so this construction, this is a musical instrument that you have to go through, and it sounds it's huge. It's 2 meters and it's square and 2 meters long. And the second part is fashion textiles, and the workshop is dedicated to storytelling. So the students have to take or write their own story and create a fabric collage. So it's also big, and each square is made by one student, and they connect them in one piece. It's also group work. This is also fashion, because fashion is 3D. Fashion textiles is about materials. It's about using unusual techniques. And this is jewelry workshop. They had to create something that you can wear, and they use wire and clippers and create this works from all the group. And the project for fashion is fashion mask. So they take all the materials they can use, they choose, and create their own mask, and then they hire models and go to the professional studio. We also have it in Britannica, and this is the fashion photography is also taught at this part of the course. The next part is fine art. It is about image making, color, contrast, digital image making, and this is surrealistic collage, because through all the course we also teach the history of art, and the previous part is dedicated to Renaissance, and this workshop is inspired by surrealism artists, and the students had to cut their own selfies. So they brought a bunch of selfies, the photos of them, and they cut it and glue on the paper, and create this strange surrealistic collage. And this is also fine art workshop. And we do it in computer class. It is a cubism collage dedicated to cubism artists like Picasso. And they did it in Photoshop. So we're trying to include some digital skills as well. You have 2 Photoshop sessions and 2 kind of Illustrator sessions in design. So give them all professional tools available today. And this also, it's a individual work. It's Fluxus videos. You read your own score, your own instructions, and they film the video how they understand it. For example, fly. And one thing is really funny video. The student shows how she follows the pigeon. It lasts for 2 minutes, so and then it doesn't fly. And she asks him, "Fly, please fly." It's really cool. So students enjoy this project as well. And the fine art project is also, I feel, interesting. One of my favorite, because they have to choose one artwork. They feel something about it, and then create their own version of this work. So think about their own, how they understand it, their own techniques, the techniques that they think suitable for this. And the students has chosen digital photo collage. So she created some drawings on top of her photo. So she made a photo and then created drawings. Actually, these outcomes of this project are always different. Someone is drawing illustration, someone is filming video, someone is creating an installation. So it's really gives lots of freedom to our students. They can choose what they want to do. The next slide is the next part of the course is communication design, and this workshop is a live project. Actually, we had the project with Foreign Literature Library in Moscow, in Astranka. And so we're trying to involve real plans to give them real briefs. And from in Astranka, we had a client. She explained it was online because we moved online in the middle of March, and our students were really enthusiastic to start online teaching. Although all the workshops, they got used to it, where they were expecting to work offline, and then we moved online, but our students were ready to work independently for the middle of March. And with Nastranka, we worked online, and the task was to illustrate one of the quote from famous books, and they had to freely draw some shape, and then on top add some text. So these are some results, and we had an exhibition. So the Inastranka has shown these works on their website online. It was planned to be offline, of course, and students were really inspired by the fact that they are already exhibited somewhere in professional field, professional library or gallery. And this is a communication design workshop. It is illustration and also live project, because the students create Telegram stickers. So they have all this design process from the brief for the idea, and they can choose their own topic. For example, this student has chosen biology, something with cells, blood cells, and it is connected with emotions she wants to show when she sends a message to her friend. Oh yeah, it's the same, and it is available to animate stickers and send it in Telegram now. It wasn't before. So I think really nice, some really nice illustrations for this level students. And at the end of each day, that's really good, I would say, invention opening in our course, because students, we included creative exercise at the end of each day. We dedicate 45 minutes to drawing, to development of their creative skills. So it's quite free. During the midday, during our lunch, we write this brief. It's not prepared before, so we express our day's feeling, how students feel this day, what happened today, and create a new exercise every time. This is about drawing. So we were drawing different workshops with stain, with text. So we're trying to develop the creative freedom by this drawing. Not about, it is also about developing drawing skills, but first of all, they have to realize that this approach to drawing, this approach to the process is really valid. So it is different every time. We go out, and we were drawing last year the color inspired by David Hockney's drawings. So we show some presentation, we show how he pays attention to details when he walks or drives, and the students then go and show this and draw the colors from nature. It is in the beginning of spring, and it's really nice project. It's really nice how they feel then they draw. And also result from this exercise, and they have a piece of artwork, and then they have to draw by their own materials. And then they connect it in one piece, so they realize that this is part of the painting. It's really cool. And that's it. How to apply it to our course? Just fill the form and have a contract. That's it. It's really easy to get to this course, because I feel that the art and design education should be available for everyone. And everyone has to try if he's an artist or designer. And also you have to go to this page, this website, because this is our exhibition this year. It's online, and the students have done this completely themselves. We just helped them to organize this technical part of the website, and it still has mistakes. We are still fixing them, but I think they did their best. So they really loved this project and wanted to show how good are they at this course.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about pre-foundation to art and design. It's a level 3 course, and it's the course that students would do after introduction and before moving on to foundation. The pre-foundation is to really get the students skilled up and ready to study at the next level. So we've got a large team of specialists, both of home staff and international. And it is there's 2 versions of the course. There's a full-time version, which has 4 contact hour days a week and 1 self-directed study day. The days from 10:30 in the morning till 5:30 at night, and it will run this year from October until the end of June. The part-time version is 2 evenings a week and 1 weekend day. The evenings are from 6:30 till 9:30, and the day again is 10:30 till 5:30. So there's 3 sessions a week, and again it's going to run from October until the end of June. Okay, the activities. They provide students with a broad introduction to the creative industries. It's an opportunity to experiment using a range of media materials to shape, test, and expand their creative and critical thinking. Regular discussions and supportive feedback sessions are programmed throughout the year with tutors. The course activities, there's a series of rotational experiences providing technical skills, techniques and processes that cross over specialist areas within art and design. These include photography, moving image, fashion and textiles, printmaking, illustration, graphic design, 3D object and 3D space. Alongside this, throughout the year, there is weekly visual studies and contextual studies that will underpin the art and design development of the student. And also throughout the year, we also have assessment, which is scheduled regularly throughout. So just an example of some of the rotations. There's photography, so the students will work on both camera skills and darkroom and digital processes. We have moving image, where as well as shooting, and they'll also edit and learn digital video and editing skills. Fashion and textiles is an opportunity to test weaving, printing, construction, and fabric manipulation. And then illustration is both digital and hand-drawn. There'll be graphic design, which is a great opportunity for the students to start learning communication skills digitally. And then the 3D objects is where students might do some casting, hand building in ceramics, or working in the jewellery workshop. Then 3D space is where students will start working in architectural models. And then the visual studies, again, through the year, observational drawing, colour mixing, model making. Each week, the students will have a contextual studies discussion and lecture where they'll learn about the past and how that influences the contemporary world today. After the rotations, there's 8 of them, there's a final project where students choose one of their projects that they want to then further develop, and they have 5 weeks to produce their own independent project, which they will then have an exhibition. At this time as well, students are supported to gather their work together, select the best, and professionally present it. This year, obviously, we weren't able to have the usual large show of all the work, but this time you can see the web page, and online you've got the link below. So at the end of the course, the students will have technical skills and processes gained that cross over all specialisms within art and design. They'll gain the ability to develop and resolve a process through to complete outcome, and they'll produce a professionally presented portfolio of work demonstrating skills and techniques that can be applied across the range of art and design specialisms. A successful completion of the course with the required level of English and previous education guarantees a place on the Foundation Art and Design programme. And here you can see what the recent students have just been done. I've had a good look around, and I hope you'll take the time to see what they do. All the details are online. You can apply, prepare your works in a digital format, write an application letter, and then your portfolio. Okay, and now I'm going to hand you over to Sean.
My name is Sean Kay, and I'm the program leader for Foundation. So maybe if there's a generic job description across all the disciplines and areas of art and design, it's that artists and designers need to be able to make things that people have never seen before, to come up with new images, new objects, new situations. We certainly, one thing that's probably sure is that we don't know what the art and design of tomorrow is going to look like, and that's maybe quite an exciting thing. The army often put their recruits through a physical assault course, and the British artist Bruce MacLean famously described Foundation as an art and design assault course. So certainly it's a very enjoyable course to be on, but it's a rigorous course to be on in terms of it moves people very quickly over a 9-month period. So it's very much about moving beyond your preconceptions. If you're going to do something, if you're going to invent something that somebody's never seen before, you've got to be able to surprise yourself before you surprise anybody else. So it's about invention, experimentation, ideas generation. And really, one thing that's key is that we believe that artists and designers arrive at ideas through practical experimentation rather than beginning with ideas. And that's how we come up with new images, new objects, new situations. It's also about critical thinking. It's about becoming aware of and critically evaluating the work of established artists and designers, but also being prepared to evaluate your own work and that of your peers. So there's an emphasis on written and spoken language as part of the course, but there's also an emphasis on practical skills, on acquiring skills and refining and crafting those skills. Importantly, the course develops the students' ability to work independently, which is an essential skill for progressing to the BA programs within the college. And it's also a diagnostic course where it helps students to decide which area of art and design to specialise in. We've done quite a lot recently to start to build international networks. So that's happening already before we get to degree level. That's happening on foundation. So this is an image from an exhibition that some students in the fine art pathway did in Manchester in England. And our communication design pathway this year worked with some students in Beijing on a collaborative project. We think it's very important that all our staff are practicing artists and designers. And we teach through a range of different methods, through workshops, lectures, critiques, seminars, and through individual tutorials. The course is taught in English and students attend English classes twice a week. So 2 half-day sessions in English, and at the end of that course, they sit the IELTS exam. The course is split into 3 stages. So during the first thing that happens in stage 1 is that there are a range of workshop inductions. Tim talked about the workshops earlier. Students also have a contextual studies program where they study the history of art and design. And they keep what we call a critical journal. So they're increasing knowledge of contemporary art and design practice is kept in the critical journal. And they also keep what we call a reflective planner. So there's certainly, as well as a practical element to the course, there is a written element to the course that looks at evaluation and reflection. And they keep a studio notebook where they start to experiment and develop ideas. So the projects during stage 1, there will be drawing projects, photography projects. There will be projects that investigate problem solving through materials in 2 dimensions, starting in the studio notebook and then proceeding on to more finished pieces of work. 3-dimensional projects that explore materials again. So again, working with the studio notebook to then develop pieces in 3 dimensions. Students will also work at this point with text and language and with 4 dimensions, so video and sound. And during this stage of the course, we invite a range of professional artists and designers to come in and talk to our students about what it's like to be a professional fashion designer, a professional product designer, illustration, fine art, etc. Because at this point, students are making a decision. When they enter stage 2 of the course, they have to specialize in either fashion and textiles, 3-dimensional and spatial design, communication design, or fine art. And then those pathways become more focused in the second part of stage 2. So students would then decide if they were in fine art, whether they were a fine artist or a photographer. In communication design, whether they were going to study illustration or graphic design. Within 3D and spatial design, they would decide whether they were a product designer or an interior architecture. And within fashion textiles, whether they were a fashion student or a textile student. So the beginning of stage 2 is a series of 1-week projects. So again, that starts with the critical journal and starting to have an understanding of the breadth of practice within the area that they're specializing in. They would do some research, but the research that they were doing into that specialist area would be disseminated back to the group through small presentations. So students are acquiring presentation skills and research skills quite early in the course. This is a performance drawing project in the fine art pathway. This is a graphics project in the communication design pathway. So again, early 1-week projects. This is a project in the 3D and spatial design pathway where students are given 1 sheet of cardboard and they've got 3 days to design a chair that will support their own weight. And again, this is initially developed in the studio project book. We've developed something called the Tuesday interview, where we invite international artists and designers to join us on Zoom once a week, and the students are asked to research that artist or designer prior to the interview taking place. So the students come up with the questions, again developing research skills, and they interview an international artist and designer each week. We run a foreign visit, so this year we went to Madrid. Again, it's quite an important cultural part of the course. The end of stage 2, students start to develop a longer project, a 5-week project. So this is project in fashion textiles, in 3-dimensional design. So things start to become a little bit more refined at this stage. And again, that's supported through evaluation and reflection in the reflective planner. At stage 3 is a 10-week independent project. And as Tim mentioned earlier, this is delivered at level 4, which is the same as undergraduate first year. And it's the stage of the course where students can get a pass, a merit, or a distinction at the end of it. So that's the grade that they leave the course with. And the level 4 results in an exhibition. Obviously, that exhibition this year is online. So the exhibition is called Homework. It was a series of 124 exhibitions that were staged in the students' apartments, dachas and gardens. So the primary audience being those that they lived with, their family and their partners and their flatmates. And you can visit the exhibition Homework here. And students then progress from the foundation course onto the range of BA programs at BHSOD. And you can follow us on Instagram.
Thank you, Tanya. So I just wanted to mention quickly that in order to prepare for admissions onto foundation program, we do require a reasonable level of skill and competence in art and design. And we understand that a number of our applicants would have several years worth of art and design skills already, but may not have the conceptual skills or maybe the portfolio that would support an application to foundation. So we run a portfolio building program, which is primarily designed to support our students on the program to develop and expand their existing skills and create a portfolio that would support them to apply for foundation, with the aim of them going on to foundation afterwards. This year, we've actually developed, in response to the lockdown situation, we're quite excited in the sense that we've developed a online version, which has completely been written from the beginning, just to allow a participant, a student, to actually work within their own environment, yet without compromising the quality of the course. So it's a really exciting program that we're launching. So we've got one starting in July, another one starting in August. And it's highly recommended. And actually, if you were to complete the program, there are then, if you do progress onto foundation or pre-foundation, then there's an actual discount that applies to the fees. So it's actually a really cost-effective program as well. So that's really exciting. So if you want to find out more about that, either ask in the Q&A or check out our website. Okay. So now moving on, I'd like to now talk about our bachelor's degrees at BHSAD, specifically our art and design degrees. And so far, with Introduction to Art Design, Pre-Foundation Art Design, and Foundation Art Design, those three programs have all allowed a student to spend an entire year, so there's 3 years worth there of a student being able to experience a full range of the different creative art design subject areas, okay? Then when they progress onto the bachelor's, they specialize. So that's why we offer specialist degrees in fashion design, fine art, graphic design, illustration, interior architecture and design, product and industrial design, design crafts, textiles, and photography. Now, I'm not going to talk about every single one of those in detail, because otherwise, 10 minutes per course, and we soon find out we're staying the whole day listening to me talking about degree programs. So what I just want to do now is give you a general overview so you get a taste for what they're about. And then there will be opportunities in the coming weeks and months to actually learn more about the individual degree programs through a number of our events that will be taking place. So again, if we go back to this slide to kind of understand about the levels and progression, you can see that at level 4, 5, and 6, we have our degree programs operating. They're all 3 years full-time. Some of the degrees are part-time, but that's over 6 years. So primarily, we're just looking at a 3-year full-time program. They're delivered completely in English, and they start in September this year. So first of all, let's just look at BA Honours Fashion Design. So here's a image of the graduates' work at Mercedes-Benz Russian Fashion Week. So BA Fashion Design, the career opportunities that are offered to a fashion graduate, you've got primary careers and related careers. So the primary careers, once you graduate, you will be ready to operate and be a fashion designer for your own label, or maybe go and work for couture label, or work for pret-a-porter, that's kind of off the shelf, or high street, or you could work as a design assistant, we could work as a textile and print designer, we could work as a technical creative pattern cutter. So those are the main careers that are associated with BA Fashion Design. But there are also, because of the actual nature of our degree programs, you'll also get a wide range of additional skills that will allow you to work around in the industry. So related careers, such as working as an accessory designer, or a buyer, or visual merchandiser, or working as a stylist, or working as a fashion journalist or fashion PR. So each of our degree programs have primary career destinations. What are you focused on in your career? But there are also secondary careers, like related careers. So actually you could find, like we have previously, like our graduates, quite a few of our graduates have gone on to work in editorial. So for example, at Elle or Vogue magazine as fashion journalists. So the experience on the degree program prepares for a range of different employment opportunities, all within fashion design area, okay? And then if we look at the right-hand side of the slide, give you some examples of where our graduates go on to work. So you can see, I mentioned earlier about Adidas or Glamour, Elle. Some of these designers are operating themselves and quite well known now. So Elisa Kuzimbaeva, ZDDZ, Vetmonts. I think everyone knows Vetmonts. And then we've got some international designers like Mary Kontratsu, Louise Gray, Zhang Kui, who I'll talk about now. But gives you an understanding about the kind of where our graduates go and work. So just to give you an example of one of our graduates, this is Maria Kazakova, also known as Maria Jankoi. So Maria graduated from BA Honours Fashion in 2012 from us. Then, well, now she currently has her own fashion label and fashion business called Jankoi, and she's based in New York. So these images are from a recent collaboration that Maria did with Puma. And you might have seen these, this range in Svetnoy and other Puma shops. Okay, so it's part of their Puma X collaborations. So Maria was listed in the Forbes 2018 30 under 30 list for art and style. So I think it's a really great example of our graduates going into the global stage and then actually operating at the highest level internationally, globally. So if we look at her education history, first of all, in 2008-9, Maria studied on our foundation art design program. Then 2009 to 12, she studied and completed her BA Honours Fashion Design program. Then she went to London in 2013 and spent 1 year at Central St Martin's doing a graduate certificate in fashion. And then she jumped over to New York and went to Parsons and completed her Master of Fine Arts in fashion there. So it's a really good example of our internationalization and where our students and graduates can actually move internationally due to the framework that we're working in and operating in, okay? Graphic design. So wide range of career opportunities from BA graphic design. Graphic design is hugely wide in terms of applications. So a graduate might work in advertising as an art director or as a creative. They might work in branding as designer and consultancy, might work in strategy, might work in editorial design, art direction, books, magazines, press, maybe online editorial, motion design, moving image, type design, designing the typefaces that we're reading now, information design and data visualization, user interface, user experience, so working with web design, a huge range of applications there. And then in terms of related careers, our graduates might work as publishers or gallerists or curators or developers, okay? And you can see from the list on the right for employment destinations, again, like really good high profile places that our graduates go on to work in, like Yota, Yandex. We've got quite a few graduates working at Yandex now, Strelka, and we've got like the international agencies like Leo Burnett, BBDO, Young and Rubicon, Saatchi and Saatchi. So that's quite a good overview there for where our graphics students go on to work. Here's an example of one of our graduates, Taras. So he graduated from BA Honours Graphic Design in 2014. He was one of my graduates at the time, and he's currently working as a product designer, or like basically app designer at Yandex Market. What's interesting about his education history is that he already had a master's in fine arts from the Herzog State University in St. Petersburg. So he had in 2010, he had a master's, but he chose to come and study with us in 2011 to go a course lower on the bachelor's again, because of the necessity he felt to have the international graphic design education that he didn't receive on his master's program. So quite an interesting career or education journey for Taras. Illustration, primary careers there as a freelance illustrator or as an animator, comic artist, book illustrator, game design, character design. We have our graduates that are working in games design and character design, very interesting there. And our graduates from illustration, they go on to work for and get commissions with like Converse, Esquire, GQ, Lebedev, L'Occitane, New York Times, Nike, Paramount Comedy, Strelka, Yandex. So again, you can see this kind of really great places and organizations that our graduates end up working with. Here's a profile on Irina. So she graduated from BA Illustration 2015. She's currently a freelance illustrator and animator. She's worked for Paramount Comedy, WeTransfer, Converse. So she's got a brilliant client list. She did our foundation program in 2011, and then she went on to BA and graduate in 2015. BA Honours Interior Architecture and Design. So slightly different approach to pure architecture. This program focuses on interior architecture and interior design. And actually 90% of architectural jobs are about reusing existing space. So this program is designed to support and to actually prepare graduates for working specifically within that area. So the career opportunities, so primary careers of graduates from this program, you know, as you would expect, working as an interior or spatial designer, working as an architect, working as exhibition and event designers, and then related careers in landscape design or urbanism, model making, product designer. And you can see where our graduates from this program go on to work. And our graduates are highly employable within Moscow-based architectural studios. You know, all of the leading architectural studios recognise the value of our graduates, not just from March programs, but from BHSAD interior architecture and design programs. So we've got graduates working in Form Bureau and like both Berlusconi, Artem Lebedev, for example. Okay, Wow House. So here's Elena. She graduated in 2014. And she has a really interesting education background. So she studied like interior design in 2006, and then she started painting up to 2008. Then she went to Stroganoff between 8 and 9, and then she came to us in 2010 to complete her BA Honours in Interior Architecture and Design. And currently she's working as a lead architect at Form Architectural Bureau in Moscow. BA Honours Products and Industrial Design. So the primary career opportunities for a product and industrial designer would be working as a product designer. And that's more like industrial product designer, not the contemporary software product designer, which just makes things confusing. You know, graduate may work as an industrial designer or furniture designer or lighting designer. Likewise, they might actually work as a strategist or consultant, or work in packaging, or work as a brand manager or design researcher. If you look at our graduate employment destinations here, you know, you can see like graduates going to work in places like Philips, or IKEA, L'Oreal, Voska Product Design Studio, or Berlusconi. Here's one of our graduates from 2015, Yulia. So she's currently completing a PhD in Australia. She was awarded a fellowship to go over to Australia to study and complete that. And you can see from her education experience, she did a foundation with us. Then she went on to do BA Product Design. Then she went to the UK and went to Northumbria, which is the same course basically that Joni Ive studied on, to do, well, it's actually slightly different because he did a BA, but she went to the same university as Joni Ive in the same department to do a master's in smart objects, and now she's in Australia. BA Honours Design Crafts Textiles. Really exciting program. We only launched it this academic year. Really exciting in the sense that it's at the forefront of contemporary textile design industry. So we're not talking about old kind of lace and, you know, babushkas making silk scarves. We're talking about like technical textile design using the latest 3D printing technologies. So for example, making 3D stitch trainers. So as a graduate from our BA Textiles program, you know, you're going to be working as a textile designer or textiles for interiors, textile designer for products, textile designer for fashion. You might work as a print designer or a knitwear designer or a weaving designer or textiles artist or textile technologist. You know, think about all the future technologies in terms of future materiality and interactive clothing, digital clothing, all these kind of areas. This is what this program's about. And again, you can see with the related careers, like you can actually work within interior design, architecture, fashion design, or within kind of merchandising and retailing as well. Okay. So in order to actually apply for the BA programs, most of our BA students complete our foundation program, and most of, you know, half of our foundation students complete our pre-foundation, and about half of our pre-foundation students have completed our introduction to art design program. So basically internally we have like kind of, you know, you do introduction, then go to pre-foundation, pre-foundation goes into foundation, foundation goes into BA. So most of our BA students come from foundation, but we do accept about 10% of our students, 5-10% of our students actually apply directly to our BA programs, and we encourage applications to us directly. If you want to apply for BA directly, we do want to see you. What we need from you is to understand that you've got academic or professional experience that's equivalent to a foundation year, so equivalent to kind of A-levels. We need to see a portfolio of work, and we'll have an interview with you to establish your level. How competent are you with your work? Is this the right program for you? And also you need an English language IELTS at 6.0 or the equivalent of IELTS. So quite flexible with the English language testing, but we need to understand that you have that level of competence in English language, okay? So yeah, we do want you to apply directly to BA, and we welcome it, we encourage it. The whole point is that we would accept you onto a program that's appropriate to your particular level of ability at this time, okay? So I'd like to now just actually hand you over to Misha Levin, who's going to actually talk about Moscow School of Contemporary Art and also our BA Fine Art and BA Photography program, which actually exists in both BHSAD and now Moscow School of Contemporary Art. So if I unhide my screen and hand over to you, Misha. Okay.
Thank you, Tim.
Well, thanks very much.
So Moscow School of Contemporary Art, we just recently launched this new school. As Tim mentioned, it's basically a continuation of what's been done in terms of contemporary art practice within the British High School of Art and Design. And hopefully we're going to continue it with the same success and also expand on this field. So try and get involved more the industry and expand on our programs and courses. And hopefully the school will become a very important hub, like, Futumas school back in the, avant-garde period in Russia, or like Bauhaus school in Germany. For us, it's very important to establish from the beginning a very strong academic approach. So we're going to be regularly gathering together with the colleagues to establish and decide what's going to be the kind of plans and future developments within the school. Also, we have involved the board of trustees. So we have asked the very important professionals from the industry, curators and members of the Royal Academy and educators and from different institutions to actually help and advise us in terms of how to further develop and integrate the school into the international context. For the school, it's also important to establish a very strong connection with the partners from the industry, partners from the art scene, partners from the international institutions that will start and continue the project that we've been doing within this field. And as you can see, it's different institutions and organizations that actually work within this field. In terms of the study programs, today we're talking about the bachelor British degrees in higher education. Also, we have a continuing professional development and different intensive courses. I already mentioned that for us, it's one of the main aspects that we will imply is the integration into the global context, as well as actually establishing a very strong connection within our local art scene. We do invite a lot of speakers, artists, gallerists, museum directors, critics, and so on to speak and to share their experience with our students. We have realized a huge amount of exhibition projects, and we're continuing, and hopefully we will have some this summer and early autumn as well. And of course, we're doing a lot of activities online, so please follow up our website, Moscow School of Contemporary Art, for news and events. Another important part of the educational approach that we have is the study trips. So we visit with the students the most important events that happen globally, events such as Venice Biennale, and for instance, we participated in a special section of Venice Biennale, which is called Biennale Sessions. It's dedicated to the institutions, educational institutions that bring students and have some educational projects within the Biennale. So this slide is actually on the main Biennale website, and you can see this is our students and the project we've done with them in last May. We also visited Istanbul Biennale or Documenting Castle and other important events. So usually we'll have 2, 3, 4 events and trips, international trips a year. Also, we're planning to launch a Blip 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 program. It's a curatorial program which was launched by our colleague Sean Kay, who earlier presented foundation course in art and design, and Sean established that program several years ago in Leeds, and now we have agreed and we're very glad that we're gonna start this project in Moscow. Hopefully it will happen very soon in autumn, when we're gonna have a series of exhibitions where we will invite professional artists, international artists, to come to Moscow, and students will help to realize those projects and to invigilate, install, and connect it with the Russian art scene. Also, I've mentioned that we just launched this new school, so we're going to have a summer school of several short, intensive 4-day courses. Please visit the website for more details. And I'm going to say with more details about the British programs. So we have 2 programs that are going to be part of our school. It's going to be BA Honours Fine Art and BA Honours Photography. Both programs are dedicated to the contemporary practice within the art field and contemporary art field. Both programs have been running for a long time. You can see that BA Fine Art has been launched in 2010 and BA Photography has been launched in 2013. So fine art. In international context, fine art equals contemporary art practice. And it's a course which explores all possibilities within the art practice. And primary careers is, of course, artists, but also related careers could be the curators, art journalists, critics, experts, managers, and so on. We have a lot of successful graduates, and early on when we had the discussion, I've mentioned last year graduate, Mika Plutitska. She's now presented by a very established Moscow gallery called Artwin, and very soon she's going to have her first solo show. Previously, this year, she's been participant in the garage workshops, and she's definitely a great example of a recent graduate that becoming very successful in her artistic practice. Another example is Marina Andrusovich, who is she's now our colleague, so she's been also teaching with us for several years as a tutor on BA Fine Art and other programs within the school. She also received a grant from Garage in 2015 and 16, and she's continuing her professional practice as well as establishing her within the academic practice of teaching. BA Honours Fine Art Photography. It's another program, and it's a very wide program with the primary careers within, of course, fine art practice, photography, fashion photography, editorial, press photography, architecture, advertising, food photography, social photography, product photography. As we know, photography is a very wide subject with great possibilities and a lot of opportunities. Also, related careers could be within the gallery or curatorial practice, teaching, photo editing, picture researching, and so on. And our graduates are working within the different successful companies like Fisher, TAS, Art Lebedev, White Rabbit, and so on. Polina Pilevich, she again a recent graduate with a very successful portfolio. She's been working a lot for the restaurant industry, and within the clients that she worked with is a Ginza project, Noble, White Rabbit, and also she done some project for Garage. Again, it's the same process of application. Yes, there's a chance to try and apply directly, but we do recommend to most of our applicants to first undertake the foundation art and design course, because as Sean was saying earlier, after 3 months, you choose the specialist pathway, and then you learn very specific skills and specific knowledge that apply to the BA programs that later students choose.
Thank you, Misha. That's really helpful. So yeah, if I now just conclude, I mean, we've nearly finished. So I think I just thank everyone that's actually presented so far. And I also thank our attendees who have stayed with us for so long. You know, it's great that you're interested still. Hopefully you've learned a lot through what we've just discussed. What I'd like to do is just to quickly finish up. So yeah, just quickly, I just want to talk to you about some upcoming events. Well, actually, first of all, I'd like to actually just suggest that all of you follow our program Instagram accounts. Our Instagram accounts are one of the best ways for anyone to really get to understand what's happening on our programs. They're much more live and direct with everyone. They do, in my opinion, they do a better job than communicating what we're doing on our website, because typically the Instagram accounts are managed by the program tutors and the students on the program. So you get a real insight into the life of a BA textiles student, or BA photography student, or foundation student, or introduction or pre-foundation student. So please do follow those accounts. You can find links on our website to those as well. So upcoming events, as I mentioned, we didn't really have much opportunity to cover the BA programs in detail. And as I say, primarily, like 90% of our students that come to us, as new students, will go on to one of our programs at pre-degree level, like foundation or pre-foundation or introduction to art design. So, most of the students that are going onto those programs will have learned a lot about those programs today. If you are one of those people that we're talking about that would like to apply directly to our BA programs, of course, we want to actually have the opportunity to actually have an actual conversation with you and a dialogue with you. We want to support you through making that application. We want you, want to see you. And in order to do that, we'll be having some Zoom open days later in the summer, specifically for each BA program. So in that respect, if you really want to learn more about BA photography or BA fashion or BA textile design, those events will be really for you, and it'll give you an opportunity to meet with the course teams, the BA teams, the tutors, and the students, importantly, and learn more about what you'll learn over 3 years, because 3 years is a long time. So those are coming up over the summer, July, August. We'll get those dates on our events pages soonish. Before that happens, though, there's an opportunity to actually listen into a series of creative dialogues in art and design. And they're starting from this Tuesday on the 23rd of this month, with BA Honours Fine Art talking with BA Honours Photography. So Carlos and Ian will be talking with each other, I'll be hosting that. And there'll be a discussion about fine art and photography education from an international and contemporary practice perspective. So Creative Dialogues, a series of online discussions with BHSAD, BA program leaders and tutors about the main aspects of contemporary art design education. So that'd be really exciting, really interesting to kick off with fine art and photography next Tuesday. Then the following Tuesday, we'll have dialogue with BA product design, BA fashion design and BA textiles. So we'll have the program leaders from those three programs and tutors as well to have a really exciting discussion about how product, textiles and fashion work together and the similarities and differences between them all in contemporary education and industry. On July the 7th, we're going to have a specific one just on interior and architectural design. And then on July the 14th, we'll be talking about our graphic design and illustration program leaders will be discussing graphic design illustration education. Okay, so those are upcoming events and you can sign up to those on our website and find out more. Importantly, Britannica New Creatives, our degree show. Now, normally this time of year, we would have a degree show where you as a visitor could come and actually view the work of our 100 or more graduates from our BA programs. Now, unfortunately, because of the global pandemic situation, we haven't been able to organise our physical degree show this year when we wanted to. So what we're planning is to actually have a physical show in September, an art play, and you'll learn more about that over the coming months, okay? In the meantime, also as part of Britannica New Creatives, as Julia and as Misha and Pam and Sean have mentioned already, we're really excited by the fact that we've got all three of our pre-degree shows, which would normally be physical shows, they're all online now. So actually that means from an audience point of view, you can actually come back and view the work in your own time and view the work of more than 60 introduction to art design students and more than 100 pre-foundation art design students and more than 100 foundation students. So that's a really exciting opportunity there. So all of these events are under our Britannica New Creatives heading. So you can find that on our website or by going to britannicanewcreatives.ru to find out more. But please do spend some time visiting the sites to actually really get an insight into the work that our students are producing on each course. And lastly, I just wanted to say again, just to be some helpful information, we're flexible in our admissions, and what we want to do is to be able to help you get onto the most appropriate course for you. So we can be flexible, we can adapt based on your current circumstances. In terms of entrance exams, we're flexible in that respect. We have a really good, experienced admissions team at BHSAD to support you with Tatiana and Artem, ready to actually help you with any questions you might have or to help give you any advice and guidance. So you can even apply to us before actually getting your school certificates if you're applying for the pre-degree programs. Remember what I mentioned, that we also accept results from international qualifications like A-levels or international baccalaureates and other UK or EU qualifications. That's one of the beauties of the European credit transfer system and the fact that we understand what these qualifications mean. So it's very easy for us to be able to identify, yes, you have the suitable prior education to be able to be suitable to enroll onto this program, okay? And in terms of English, I mentioned earlier, not just IELTS, we also accept like TOEFL, Cambridge and other qualifications are considered. So yeah, I think it's important to understand we're flexible, we operate a flexible admissions policy and we treat everyone as an individual. So we're here, we're open, even though we're closed, we're still open. Actually, we're open again now. So it's good that we're open again. So that's that. Thank you everyone for actually participating, and thank you for everyone's time, both colleagues from BHSAD and from UU, and for the participants.